The biggest question that my clients, my family, my friends are asking me right now is what the heck are we supposed to do in this economic climate and this political climate? We don't know what's going on from a financial perspective and we don't know what to do. So if you feel like that, then you are absolutely in the right place because in this video series, I am going to break down how to enter your personal wealth era. And we're going to talk about some of the contentions, some of the hot button issues that you really need to be aware of. This video is especially for the millennials because as a millennial, y'all are near and dear to my heart and we have had a wild ride. This is not the future that we signed up for, but at the end of the day, I know that all of us, every single generation, we're all going through it. Now, before I get into the meat and potatoes where we start looking at the 3 hot button issues that I want you to be aware of, I do want to take a second to get grounded in this conversation because I know that it can be a little anxiety producing to feel like you don't know what the future will bring. I was listening to Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala at the World Economic Forum conference that happened last month. And out of all of the different people that I listened to, I felt that she was the only one who really brought some groundedness to the craziness and the chaos that people all over the world are experiencing right now.
Andrew, I know it's hard for people to believe, especially with the tremendous disruptions we're seeing. So sometimes when you quote the numbers, and like Christine said, we have to be careful, numbers we're quoting, but I like to speak based on the numbers I see. People get surprised, but why should you be? Some of the systems that were built over this past 80 years were remarkably well built. And so what is happening is that in spite of all the disruptions, there's some resiliency built into the system. And that's what's showing up, along with other new things that are happening.
So basically what she is saying is that we are not new to this. We are true to this. And despite what any one person thinks that they can do or try to do to dismantle the system is strong. Okay. Now don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I love the system. What I am saying is that we don't have to be fearful that any minute everything can collapse. And when they asked her, what word would you use to describe this year? To go forward into this year, she said,
steady nerves this time. Steady nerves, meaning that you don't have to react immediately to all you see. And that's where I share Christine's, let's separate the noise from actually what is happening. You need steady nerves to assess what the situation is and to react. If you react immediately, you may react the wrong way.
Steadiness. She said that we need a sense of steadiness as we try to figure out what our new economy is going to look like because we're not going back to the old one. So no matter how much we may want things to get back to normal so that we can feel okay again, because a lot of us don't feel okay, not just on the financial front, but on so many different fronts. And if I'm being honest, I think that the name of the game is overstimulation. And without her even having to say that, she just said, I want you to be steady. I want you to stay focused. I want you to separate the truth from the noise so that we can all get through this together. And we will get through this. There will be people who make it to the other side. And like I said, I want you to be on the cutting edge, okay? So here are my notes. This is what I'm going to, so if you see me looking over here, this is where my notes are. So the very first thing, there is going to be a change in labor and value creation, right? But we don't really know exactly what that is going to look like. Now, in layman's terms, what I'm really talking about is AI, artificial intelligence, and the way that it is taking over so many jobs in our economy, the effect that it's having on our economy. That's what I'm talking about, right? So it used to be that the way that humans brought value to the world was very much through language. We're thinking, we're talking, we're writing reports, and we're creating. The degree to which we're going to be needed for that is changing. According to an article, I think it was the International Monetary Fund article, they said that they think that in the next coming years, AI is going to take 40% more jobs. Okay, now that's crazy. And that's definitely something that we're going to have to be prepared for. And we're going to have to reposition how we bring value to society. Now, I want to ask y'all, because there's a part of me that thinks that the conversation about AI taking over jobs is overblown, because I personally don't even let AI write my emails, okay, 100% without my review. I wouldn't even let ChatGPT create an Instagram post. And anytime I see that, there's this ick factor that I feel like, oh my gosh, I can tell that that was written by AI and I don't want it. Even as somebody who is open to AI, who welcomes AI, when I think about how we're going to use it in both the public and the private sector, I think it should be used as an amplifier, right? Not to minimize the workforce, but to amplify the workforce. So if you have 10 people in a job, then those 10 people can produce more. They can produce better. They can be more thoughtful. That's what I'm thinking. For me, AI is very much a black box. And it makes me think of when Elizabeth Holmes was telling everybody that her company Theranos was revolutionizing how they were doing blood work. But then it turns out that when you looked inside the black box, it didn't work. None of them had done their due diligence to make sure that her product actually did what she said it was supposed to do. So I say that to say this. I'm really excited about where AI is going, but I want to be able to see behind the veil a little bit. I want to be able to see inside the black box so that I can feel comfortable that AI is doing whatever the heck you telling me it is doing. And so the more visibility that we have to those things, I think the more confidence that we'll have in AI. But regardless, we do need to be preparing for a different future, because that part, I do believe, is inevitable. The second thing that I want to talk about is how the infrastructure of money is changing. It's growing, it's evolving, it's expanding, and at a very rapid rate. So what that basically means is CBDC, central bank digital currencies. Right now we have paper fiat currency. So we would now have a digital fiat currency as well. And the reason that a nation would want to do that is because it makes the transactions a little easier. You don't have to print money all the time. There's not all this moving of money because it's all happening digitally. And not only that, but when your currency is digital, it's a lot easier to make it available to everybody. And when your currency is available and being used by the world, it makes your currency more valuable and it makes your nation more wealthy. Now, the CBDCs are a digital currency, but that is very different from something like Bitcoin. Whereas Bitcoin, you have self-custody of your money, okay? Not the bank, you. Whereas a CBDC is where the bank would still actually have custody of your money. While CBDCs become more popular and become more adopted and create more infrastructure around them, that's only going to make digital currency as a whole more popular. And what that means is that people who are the early adopters, who are already using things like Bitcoin or Ethereum or other niche coins on the blockchain, once those things become more commonplace, right, we're going to see more people adopt them, and then we're going to see more money moved into them. I think I saw something where some of the big banks were already moving millions of dollars onto the blockchain. So this is something that we want to make sure that we're paying attention to, that we're watching where the money is going, that we're paying attention to where the future is going, and that we're having a voice in what we want that to look like. Number 3. The collapse of old economic models, or the evolution, I should say, of old economic models. And what this means to me is that before, when I would talk to my clients about investing, it would be really simple because I understood the model. I understood the boom cycles. I understood the bust cycles. I knew that the market was likely going to generate an average of 10%, 8% after inflation, that you can expect the 2% growth in inflation year over year. Like, we have a general understanding of how the market is working, right? But the more and more things change, the less they stay the same. And what that means is that we don't have that same predictability. And when it comes to digital currencies, we don't have very much predictability at all. Bitcoin is very much a newcomer still. We're not able to see like what type of patterns it has over decades, right? Maybe about 2 decades, but nothing more than that. And so there's some cases where I can see like, oh, I can see a glimmer of a pattern emerging. And then there's some cases where I'm just like, we're just trying to figure it out. And what I want you to get comfortable with, I want you to get comfortable with not knowing. I want you to get comfortable with figuring it out. I want you to understand that where we are right now, there is nobody who has all of the answers. And when somebody tries to tell you that they have all the answers, I want you to be skeptical. But what you can do is you can be watchful and you can be paying attention and you can educate yourself. And even though the economic models are changing and evolving, I think that the strategies are still going to be very important. The old strategies like asset allocation and diversification. Right now, I think diversification is the name of the game when it comes to mitigating the risk of uncertainty. You don't just assume what's going to work because you think you know. You have to understand that where we are, you might understand one system, but there's so many different systems that work here in the financial industry working in tandem that produce results. Some of them are based on geopolitical issues. Some of them are based on emotions. They're not even all based on financial models or what's actually happening in these companies or what's actually happening in the digital money world. So we want to make sure that no matter what we know, no matter what we think we know, that we're leveraging the strategy of diversification and we're using that to grow and evolve our portfolios in real time. So those are the 3 things that I think that we should be focused on. Number 1, a change in labor and value creation, being skeptical about that and yet being prepared for that. Number 2, restructuring of the old financial systems, right? So moving into more digital currency and being mindful of what that looks like and making sure that you're an early adapter, okay? And then number 3, the predictability is gone. So not expecting the things that used to work in the past, the old models that worked in the past, the old patterns that we were seeing in the past, not expecting those things to play out the same in the future. And with that being said, I hope that this video shows you a couple things to focus on so that you don't feel all lost in the sauce with everything that's going on, that you have 3 things to focus on, seeing how you fit inside of all of it. And next week, we're going to talk about how do you put this stuff into action. Okay, so don't worry about what you need to do. Don't worry about taking action right now. Just worry about taking it all in. Think about the fact that the way that things used to work, that's not how they work anymore. And it's very unlikely that we're going back. Familiarize yourself with these ideas so that they are not scary, so that they don't make you feel anxious, so that you can then be prepared to be a part of whatever the next step is. And that's going to require taking some action. And that is what we're going to talk about in next week's video. And with that being said, you are not helpless, hopeless, or powerless. In fact, you are powerful beyond measure, and you have everything that it takes to get to your next financial level. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.